Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the former right-hand man of the Pirate King, the Dark King, Rayleigh. Now, Rayleigh was an incredibly great pirate during the past, and as the first mate of the King of the Pirates, he had to be incredibly powerful, and in fact, one of the strongest pirates that may have existed during the past, second only to Roger, because during his career, he had many great achievements with his captain, and gained worldwide fame, and is recognized still as one of the strongest pirates ever. As a part of the crew of the King of the Pirates, Rayleigh managed to acquire great strength and incredible hockey skills, and had powers capable of matching even a Yonko today. Having defeated several powerful pirates, he's also managed to acquire an incredibly high bounty. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Rayleigh, how strong he was in the past, and what bounty he might have gotten during the time that he was part of the crew that had reached the One Piece treasure. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, we'd be honored if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a greater way, consider sharing the video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So to begin, according to the information that's been shared throughout the manga, Rayleigh is an incredibly strong character after having been a member of Roger's crew. And although he is feared by the world, he's really been shown to have a very friendly personality. Now, even though he was shown as extremely playful as his captain was, we also saw that Rayleigh was often impatient with the younger crew members, and often took the position of team disciplinarian very seriously. However, over the years, his personality changed as time went by, and he became much more calm and became someone that was much more fun and quiet, gaining a similar personality to Roger and Luffy. Now, this personality could have come because of his great sadness that he was left with after his captain lost his life, or just as the years went on. But whatever the case is, he was able to gain a much more jovial personality, leaving his bad-tempered personality behind. Rayleigh has also said that because of his age, his body doesn't really function as it once did, as he's no longer as strong as he once was, or had the same lightning reflexes he had when he was younger. So because of his age, he's lost much of his potential, much like what happened to Garp. And even though some of his physical attributes might have declined, his mind is still incredibly analytical and often observes what's happening in order to do something, analyzing the environment and seeing possibilities to defeat his enemy, although he does not hesitate to act if necessary. Whether it's entering an incredibly difficult or unplanned situation, such as facing Kizaru, who is a Marine Admiral, without even thinking of a strategy to win, or having his ship sink in a region of the Calm Belt where all the Sea Kings live, on every occasion, Rayleigh remains completely calm and moves forward without the difficulty of hesitation. Like Whitebeard and pirates from the previous age, Rayleigh seems to like to talk about the past and reminisce about great events that he participated, as well as the adventures that he went through together with his captain and crew. But when the subject comes up to the Lost Century, we see a serious shift in his personality, because as we know, he has knowledge about the Void Century because he did manage to get to the One Piece. Being a part of the only pirate crew that made it to the last island, Rayleigh possesses knowledge about the whole truth of the world of One Piece, and Rayleigh has the knowledge of what happened during the Void Century. Now, Roger had a top bounty of 5,564,800,000 berries, the highest bounty of any pirate ever. I mean, not even Whitebeard could surpass his bounty, even though he had lived much longer than Roger. As a comparison, we don't know Xebec's bounty either, but he could have been the only one whose bounty who could have ever surpassed that of Roger. But this didn't happen since the Marines and the world government hid Xebec's actions from the world so that he wouldn't become famous. After all, we do know that Xebec was such a great pirate, and above all was feared, because it took Roger and Garp united to be able to take him down. So due to his strength, he might have even been stronger than Roger. But it's still difficult to confirm this, because information regarding Xebec is still very scarce. We know basically nothing about him, and we really haven't even seen him other than a silhouette, but he's been mentioned by other characters from the past, and they still avoid talking about it. But back to our main subject. For being a member of the Pirate King's crew, and even his right hand, Rayleigh had to have an incredibly high bounty, but it still hasn't been revealed yet. But with all indications, Rayleigh could have easily had a bounty similar to that of a Yonko. After all, we know that the current Yonko commanders all have bounties close to those of the Yonkos, but their powers are far from that of their captain. I mean, even Marco, who has a gigantic bounty, has never managed to be as strong as Rayleigh. So there is the possibility that Rayleigh, who has a power comparable to that of a Yonko, could have had a bounty that reached upwards of 4 billion berries, because once Kizaru saw Rayleigh at Marineford, he decided that he needed to be dealt with immediately. So if we consider the fact that Rayleigh's strength must have been close to that of his captain, the King of the Pirates, after Roger lost his life, Rayleigh could have continued his life of piracy, and he could have even become the next King of the Pirates if he wanted to, but he didn't really want to do that. Rayleigh's power at some point could have even been a match for Whitebeard's, for during flashbacks we see that Whitebeard could not beat the King of the Pirates in battle, and all of Whitebeard's crew members were easily defeated by Rayleigh. The only ones who could ever match their powers with Roger were Garp, and Zebek, so Rayleigh and Whitebeard's strength might have been about the same had he continued his pirate life. After all, Rayleigh was a commander with the strength of a captain, so although we don't know Rayleigh's bounty, it's probably still active because he's alive, but no one is after him because his location has been unknown, and it may be that his bounty has not been revealed to the whole world. Just consider the fact that Roger's bounty, once he was defeated, was kept hidden from the sailors of the new generation because they didn't want anybody chasing after his dream. So perhaps Rayleigh's bounty remains hidden because everyone believed that there was no surviving members of the Pirate King's crew. Now, usually a bounty is issued by the world government or a marine superior, and the purpose of this bounty is to try to get others to capture the pirates so that they can be tried as quickly as possible. Bounty hunters in the world of One Piece have made their career by seeking out and capturing pirates who have large bounties, and the value of a bounty is determined based on the perceived threat level of the world government's enemy. So the greater the threat to the world, the greater the bounty. But in the eyes of a pirate, high bounties are usually seen as a sign of strength, and after having received a high bounty, it means that the world government, as well as other sailors, recognize the threat of the person who has this high bounty. Because a bounty reflects both the threat and the power of a pirate, engaging activities considered bad by the world government, or associating with groups that are enemies of the world government, makes that person receive a high bounty, even if they aren't very powerful. Just as an example, think about Chopper. Because he's considered a pet, he has a bounty of only 100 berries. But this real bounty shouldn't be that, because he's considered a pet and doesn't have his accomplishments recognized. His bounty is small and only exists because he's a member of the Straw Hats. But if we took into account all that Chopper has done, and his rumble balls, and his actual threat level, Chopper would have a much higher bounty. So as long as bounties are treated as a way to determine a person's threat level, it may not actually represent the pirate's true powers. I mean, as another example, consider Luffy. All of his accomplishments really haven't been recognized, and if we compare how many powerful enemies Luffy has defeated during his journey, his bounty would be much greater than his current bounty. Over the course of his journey, many of the enemies that Luffy faced and defeated didn't really give him an increase in his bounty. For example, Enel, even though Enel is not a pirate or someone wanted by the world government, his power was extremely high. But when Luffy took Enel out, the world government didn't learn of this achievement, so his bounty wasn't increased because of his victory over this very strong opponent. So besides the Yonko, the only pirates with a high bounty are Luffy, King, Marco, Queen, Katakuri, and Jack, and all of them have a bounty of over 1 billion berries, and these pirates are considered the most wanted ones in the world of One Piece. Another thing to think about is that any newcomer who has earned a bounty of over 100 million is considered impressive and now considered a supernova, which is the worst generation of pirates that emerged after the golden age of piracy. In fact, this term supernova appeared when 11 of these pirates simultaneously appeared in Sabati Archipelago, and each of them were given a bounty of over 100 million, and each member had great influence within the New World, as well as gaining much notoriety and fame. So with all that said, this makes us very certain that Rayleigh had to have had a bounty of at least 2 billion, if not more. After all, many of the Emperor's commanders have almost 2 billion berry bounties, so Rayleigh in his prime had to have had something at least greater than theirs. Now the evidence of this is the way that Rayleigh was easily able to defeat Marco in the past, and was never outclassed by it. And this indicates that in the time of the Pirate King, he could have easily had a bounty close to that of his captains. But when a pirate has a bounty and is defeated or captured, his bounty usually goes away, and it's only if they escape that they get a new bounty. However, if a person were to just stop being a pirate or change their lifestyle, this isn't going to necessarily take away or remove their bounty. It's only when they're captured or die that their bounty ceases to exist. The only other way that somebody could lose or have their bounty forgiven is if they somehow became one of the warlords, or by creating something that would forgive them for their past transgressions. A great example of this would be the shipwright Tom, who was given forgiveness after building the sea train, even though he built Roger's ship, the very vessel that took him all the way around the world and allowed him to find the One Piece. So with all that said, Rayleigh's bounty remains active and really hasn't decreased in value for his capture or even because he's done something great. And for instance, if the world government were to find out how he trained Luffy, we could even see a greater increase. But until we see Rayleigh's full bounty revealed, we'll just have to speculate for now. But speaking of speculation, let us know what you think about it. Do you think that Rayleigh has a great bounty or one that's equal to a Yonko? What do you think the actual number value is of Rayleigh's bounty? Let us know in the comments below. So as we get ready to wrap up today's video, we want to thank you so much for watching until the very end. Make sure you comment at any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.